Saddam Hussein aids and protects terrorists, including members of Al-Qaeda.
He has also given aid, comfort, and sanctuary to terrorists, including Al-Qaeda members.
All options are on the table.
My good friend, Senator Obama, that's a very provocative statement. You previously said that all options are on the table with respect to Iran. And I think that it's important for people to reflect on the real meaning of that you're setting the stage for another war.
Iran is an adversary. Their pursuit of nuclear weapons poses a grave threat to us.
If Iran had a nuclear weapon, it would be a dangerous threat.
Have no doubt, Iran possessing nuclear weapons will be a major threat to us.
Iran was a threat.
Iran is a serious threat if it gets nuclear weapons.
Iran is a threat.
We all know that Iran poses a threat.
And Iran will continue to be a threat.
Iran is a grave threat, major threat to us and to the region. I understand that, but they're in the process of developing it.
And will keep trying to develop nuclear weapons.
But they're in the process of developing it, and I don't think that's disputed by any expert. They are the largest state sponsor of terrorism.
The state sponsor of terror.
State sponsor of terrorism.
It is disputed
Hezbollah
by
and Hamas.
The enemies that we're going to have to fight is not just terrorists, it's not just Hezbollah, it's not just Hamas.
They are the largest state sponsor of terrorism.
It is disputed
Hezbollah
by
and Hamas.
The enemies that we're going to have to fight is not just terrorists, it's not just Hezbollah, it's not just Hamas. The enemies that we're going to have to fight is not just terrorists, it's not just Hezbollah, it's not just Hamas. The enemies that we're going to have to fight is not just terrorists, it's not just Hezbollah, it's not just Hamas.
Ending our nukes. Who the hell are we going to nuke?
Senator,
tell me, Barack, who are you want to nuke?
I'm not planning to nuke anybody right now.
It's disputed
Hezbollah
by,
and Hamas.
It is disputed.
And there is no contradiction, Dennis,
it is
between...
disputed.
Let me finish. If we have nuclear proliferators around the world that potentially can place a nuclear weapon into the hands of terrorists...
Secretly and without fingerprints, he could provide one of his hidden weapons to terrorists.
He's President Bush's 9th cousin once removed. Cheney's cousin Barack Obama is also Bush's 11th cousin.
Discovered is that Dick and Barack Obama are 8th cousins. What? Is that an amazing thing?
That old Beach Boys song, Bomberan? Bom, 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 bom.
When I search John McCain on YouTube, the biggest thing that comes up is you singing Bomb, 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 Iran. 744,000 hits, in case you haven't checked it recently. Are you proud or embarrassed of that?
I'm proud.
They would establish a theocracy on this earth.
If you think you're going to engage the United States military, then be prepared that the next thing you see will be the gates of hell.
Let us never kid ourselves. We are in a world war.
The year is 1917, and Representative Oscar Callaway enters a disturbing statement into the U.S. Congressional Record. The statement reveals why J.P. Morgan interests hired 12 high-ranking news managers. They were to figure out how many news organizations it would take to control generally the policy of the daily press of the United States. An agreement was reached. The policy of the papers was bought, and an editor was placed at each paper to ensure that all published information was in keeping with the new policy. Soon, that policy would be defined by a front group formed by J.P. Morgan and his colleagues, the Council on Foreign Relations. Today, the CFR maintains that its goal is to increase America's understanding of the world. For 2 years, Professor Carroll Quigley is allowed to examine the confidential papers and secret records of this network. Quigley reveals that these men aim to create a world system of financial control in private hands, able to dominate the political system of each country and the economy of the world as a whole. In short, they seek total and quiet control of the entire world, and the CFR is their most visible conduit for carrying out that agenda. CFR members include America's wealthiest tycoons, as well as the highly placed elite in government, academic institutions, tax-exempt foundations, and the establishment media. Ruling Class Journalists, written by Richard Harwood, describes the CFR membership as the ruling establishment in the United States. The Washington Post article boasted that news reporters who are CFR members do not merely analyze and interpret foreign policy for the United States, they help make it. Who are these policymakers? Many of their faces are familiar. NBC's Tom Brokaw, CBS's Dan Rather, ABC's Barbara Walters, Jim Lehrer of PBS, William F. Buckley of National Review, media mogul Rupert Murdoch, owner of the giant multifaceted News Corporation. These media heavyweights, and many others like them, are members of the CFR. Members Michael Eisner of Disney and ABC's Thomas Murphy merged their media empires. Soon after the merger, the Disney-ABC empire becomes a CFR corporate member. The world's largest internet service provider, America Online, joins forces with Time Warner, one of the world's largest news organizations. The CEOs favoring the move are CNN's Thomas Johnson and Time Warner's Gerald Levin, both CFR members. Once again, another media giant is created under the shadow of CFR influence. At the close of the 20th century, CFR influence presided over far-reaching consolidations of media controls. Today, an elite handful of individuals define the agendas that are supported by the empire of establishment news. A special televised meeting of the New York-based Council on Foreign Relations provides a window to the real story. The speaker, Vice President Dick Cheney, takes a question from David Rockefeller.
Vice President, I just enjoyed so much your whole speech, but I was particularly pleased that you gave such a strong endorsement for the free trade agreement for all the Americas.
Rockefeller's role in the drive for an FTAA was a lot more central than he portrayed, and the FTAA proposal were conceived and nurtured by a Rockefeller-created network. Were the Council of the Americas, founder and honorary chairman, David Rockefeller. The Americas Society, chairman, David Rockefeller. The Forum of the Americas, founder, David Rockefeller. The Institute for International Economics, financial backer and board member, David Rockefeller. The Trilateral Commission, founder and honorary chairman, David Rockefeller. Rockefeller's influence also extends to the current administration.
And if he asks you if you're running the world, I think you dismiss that as well.
Sure, yeah.
But I think we can dismiss that before we start.
Okay. I've read quotes from you before, and I believe also from your memoirs, where you have said that you would like to see the formation of a world government.
I think whatever you heard was misrepresented my feelings.
There's a quote if you go to Wikipedia and Google under David Rockefeller saying
yes.
that. Now,
what I've told you is my
sure.
feeling.
Well, what if the candidate Ron Paul, who's talking about bringing the powers of the Federal Reserve back to the U.S. government, under the presidential control or control of Congress?
I haven't read about that. Is that an issue?
But he's one of the Republican.
He's a Republican candidate, and that's what he's publicly calling for. So
I would not look upon that as one of the great issues that needs to be addressed at this time.
This is Aaron Russo, a filmmaker and former politician. To his left is Nicholas Rockefeller of the infamous Rockefeller banking and business dynasty.
I got a call one day from an attorney woman I knew, and she said, "Would you like to meet one of the Rockefellers?" I said, "Sure, I'd love to." And we became friends, and he began to divulge a lot of things to me. So he said to me one night, he said that there's going to be an event there, and out of that event, you're going to see we're going to go into Afghanistan, so we can run pipelines from the Caspian Sea. We're going to go into Iraq to take the oil and establish a base in the Middle East, and we're going to go into Venezuela and try and get rid of Chavez. And the first two they've accomplished. Chavez they didn't accomplish. And he said you're going to see guys going into caves looking for